Welcome to today's lesson. So today we're going to focus on creating a financial statement. So the first step is to create the Excel worksheet. So just click on your PC, click and create a new Excel sheet. So I'm going to name it financial statement. So once you open it, so in this financial statement, you should be able to do your daily transactions. For example, how much you sold today, what did you sell, and things like those. So once you open it, you're going to have a blank form like this. So pick to the far right, any column at the far right. Then click the entirety of the transactions that you actually be making. So for example, maybe you'll be having advertising costs. So we're going to divide this, let's say, into expenses and revenue. So let's say you have advertising, office supplies, for example, printing, things like those. You may have a car, maybe it can be in terms of car fuel. And for example, you may also have to do some repairs. It can be in terms of any type of repairs. Maybe something has broken down, so you just have to have them in hand. So I'm just going to list some of the things that I think you might need because this is a general template to say. So you may have meals, for example. So you need to eat each and every day. Utilities. Utilities involve things like electricity, water bills, and rent, of course. Most people are renting their shops or offices, so you may need to have such. And also tax. Remember, MRA can come knocking on your door, so you need to have these things on hand. Then I'm just going to create custom. There are other expenses that you may have to incur, expenses that you may have to incur, but you may not know them yet, so that's the custom one. Then you may have to also think in terms of revenue. Revenue is pretty much easy. It's either you're making a sale, and maybe it's another issue, so we just put custom for custom sales. So once you have your list, remember the other lesson that we did on creating a drop-down menu. So once you have your list, the first thing is to have your first category here. So we're going to go to this part. Then let's say date. You need to be able to record the date of the transaction. Then the second thing, you can put the category. The category now will be the drop-down menu. So in category here, so after the category heading, just the cell below, go to data here. So you click on data, then search for data validation. So once you click on data validation, click data validation, you're going to come up with a pop-up box like this. Then select here the drop-down menu and select list. So once you select list, this corner button here, it allows you to actually be able to click on the thing that you want or the cells that you want. So you click it, and the categories that we first entered, click and drag them, select them, all of them. Once you do, press enter and OK. And you're good to go. Now you have your drop-down list here. So it will come to say, okay, what are you selling? So it's possible to say maybe it's a shop. You can actually be able to add to say, okay, maybe I want items in the shop. So you can actually list the items down here. So you can be able to know what it is that you are actually doing. So that's just part of the step. You also need description since it's just saying rent. So you can say description and amount. So once you have these, you're at least good to go in terms of the transaction. So now back to the drop down. So we've only created a drop down for this cell, but if you see here, the cursor changes to a small r. So it means you can actually be able to click and drag it down, and it will apply for the rest of these cells that you're going to bring down. Once you do that, it means each and every cell now has a drop down. You can just be able to click on it and select the item that you want. Say, okay, this transaction is for curfew and things like those. So this is the first step. Second step is for you to be able to let us know to say, okay, Today is 12 February 2020. Then the rest is just an issue of entering the data to say, okay, 12 February, what have I done? Okay, I had meals. How much was my lunch? So you can say, okay, lunch at KFC, for example. Amount, you can say, okay, you got something for 2,500 and you're good to go. So if you can be able to do this each and every single day, by the end of the month, you should be able to have something concise in terms of your transactions for your business. Even your personal life, it's possible. And the other issue now maybe would just be in terms of decorating. So it's not a necessity, but you can choose to decorate. Say, okay, I want this cells to be yellow, or maybe they should be dark gray, and maybe you want to put border, so you can not that, but rather you can click them and say borders. This one, so you can choose. Okay, I just want the bottom border, whichever you choose, and you can actually extend the cells. Say, okay, I want to extend them. So if you can do this every day, you can actually train. If you have an employee, I would suggest you train them as well to say, this is how you enter the data. By the end of the day, they should be able to say, this is what I did, and you can easily track these. The good thing with this type of transactional record keeping is that you can actually send, once you save it, you can send it to your phone, and whoever is operating can just go direct to the phone and just open the sheet and enter manually on the phone. And you can actually put it in your Google Drive so that when they enter in the phone, it can synchronize with the drive, and anyone can actually be able to have access to the transactions. And you can actually be able to check by the end of the day, say, okay, why haven't you entered the transactions today? And they can check and enter. So this is the first step in terms of having your financial statements using Microsoft Excel. The next thing that we're going to be able to do now is to create, so this is sheet 1. So this will call it transactions. We can create another Excel sheet within the same document. Let's say profit loss, where you can determine whether you've made a profit or a loss. In terms of profit and loss, basically it's income. So this is just an introduction to it. Expenses and the total profit or loss. So basically that's just a sketch, but income, basically if you go back to transactions, remember we had a list, so it will be based on this list to say, okay, these ones are the revenues and these ones are the sales. So rather these are expenses and sales. So this one will be based on the same to say, okay, what was the income or the sales or the revenue, what were the expenses, how much profit have you made, and things like that. So that's what the next lesson is going to focus on.